This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Guten Morgen, guten Tag, und guten Abend an alle unsere Zuhörerinnen and Zuhörer. Did I say it correctly? I hope so. I hope I did. And all things guten. Happy Sunday to everyone. Again, this is Henry Inocencio coming to you live from Central Europe in Germany for Central Europe Connections, where we like to show you a little bit of what Central Europe has to offer. And so you may already know based on the board that we will be visiting somewhere north of Germany in a country called the Netherlands, specifically in a place called Amsterdam. And here to help us discover that, co-hosting with me today is Chanel. How are you, my friend?
Hallo Leute, ich heiße Chanel and I am so happy to be back on INC Radio, specifically Central Europe Connections, which is an exciting show to be on. And how are you over there, Kuya Henry?
I am okay. It's cold. Tropical weather person. I want to put another jacket on this, but I think it's even colder where our panelists, our guest is today. So this is a good time to get to know our guests. Let's all say hello to Jules. Go ahead and introduce yourself really quick.
Hi, goedenavond allemaal. It's me, Jules. So today I am Juliana. I am from the local of Landsmeer, and I'd be happily to bring you to this journey that we're going to talk about the Netherlands and also Amsterdam itself.
Yes, we're happy to learn more about Amsterdam. Chanel, have you been to Amsterdam?
I have been there once, and I can't wait to learn more from Jules about the Netherlands.
I've been there once myself, and I know I'll share later in our broadcast today. Did I like it? Did I not like it? The things that I liked, the things that there wasn't a lot of things I didn't like, but we'll talk about more of that in our show. And let's look at who's here with us today. We have Brother Olaf. I see Kuya John. I saw Mario Calvello as usual. Always thankful and happy to see him here. I'm seeing Sister Daisy. So more and more are starting to come into our broadcast today. Happy viewing to all of our Central Europe viewers. But let's see what we got next coming up. So currently, time check, it is 7:04 p.m. Central European Standard Time. And there in the Philippines, it is 2:04 in the morning. So magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat to all of our early viewers there in the Philippines. Thank you for tuning in. And if I may ask Chanel, what is the weather like for our Central Europe locations?
Absolutely. Today's weather report in Berlin, it'll be, or it was, high 10 degrees Celsius, low 5 degrees Celsius. And then in Zurich, Switzerland, it was 9 degrees Celsius throughout the day, more or less. And Amsterdam, Netherlands, it was around also 11 degrees Celsius. But I want to ask Jules, how's the weather for you today since you're out there in the Netherlands, if you went out?
Oh, the weather today is definitely cold. It's drizzling outside. It's raining, and it's a typical wet weather. And of course, the wind also is also really cold. But yes, I would assume the degrees, I haven't checked the weather, but I would assume the weather today would be like at around 3 to 4 degrees, that cold. So something like that.
Basically cold all over Europe. So I'm hoping to experience some snow anytime soon now that winter is pretty much here. But before we can talk more about the weather, we do have an exciting topic to talk about. And I believe Kuya Henry already mentioned, we'll be talking about Amsterdam and the Netherlands as well. But Kuya Henry, can you let us know how can we watch and listen to our show?
So to watch and listen to our show, whether it be Central Europe Connections or any of our programs here on INC Radio, you can always go onto YouTube at INC Radio DZEM 954. Click on Live Now, and you will be able to always watch the programs of INC Radio and all of the satellite studios around the world so that we can get to know more of the different places and the different brethren around the world and what activities we have and even the doctrines of the church. So, in our broadcast today, we're going to be focusing more on the Netherlands. We'll get to know what things there are to do, things that maybe we should try to avoid, but more so the positive things that is in Amsterdam proper, the surrounding areas. I just love Netherlands. I've been there at least 3 times already. Took my daughter there for her birthday last year. There's a beach there, so a nice, really big beach in the Hague, the area, Scheveningen, I believe. That's the beach we love there. It's only about a couple hours away from Amsterdam. But Amsterdam itself was a place full of canals. And, we'll talk more about that in our show, especially with Jules here. And so before we do anything, I do think we need to break something. What do we need to break, Chanel?
The ice. So we'll be doing our icebreaker game. And for our listeners and viewers in the comment section, listen closely and type fast. So if you want to participate. And fortunately, it's a familiar game. We'll be doing true or false games. So Kuya Henry, are you ready for our icebreaker?
I am ready to do true or false Amsterdam edition, where we will ask not only Jules. Oh, I kind of don't want to ask Jules. I want the chat and our viewers to answer some of these questions, and Jules will be the last one. And I hope she gets it right. This. I'm putting you on the spot because you're speaking from a someone who's lived there for a few years, right? Who can speak about. So the pressure's on you. Our viewers, for those who want to guess, let's start our icebreaker with question number one. And those who want to answer, type in your answer. Question one: Amsterdam has more bikes than people. Me and Chanel, we'll talk about this first. So when we went to Amsterdam, Chanel, there are a lot of bikes. Do you think there are a lot more bikes than people?
My answer, based on what I witnessed, yes, more bikes than people. So I'm going to say true, but I'm also going to look at the comment section to see who also thinks it's true. So let's see if there's anyone. I see Don Tequila says true. Hashtag Heidelberg Cluster represent. Oh, and I see a familiar name, Net. Cat1 says true as well. And Olaf says true as well. And Annalyn says true. Hashtag Berlin Meissen. So I'm not seeing any falses from our audience right now. How about you, Henry? What do you think?
So it's like the question: are there more doorknobs in the world than wheels? Right? You know that brainstorm you hear. It makes you think. But see, if there's not enough people for bikes or not enough bikes for people, then I don't know. Let's ask Jules. What do you think? What's the answer? Or speak with the what is truth? Is there more bikes than people or more people than bikes?
I would say bikes are more than people. I I've been here for 5 years, and all I can see is tons of bikes. Really, if I'm alone in the whole country of Netherlands, I'm surrounded by like at least half of the half of the population of the country would be bikes. I'm not exaggerating it, but it is how I see it.
Okay. No, and I trust your word. The Kuya Tech. What is the answer? Are there more bikes than people? Da, 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 da. The city has an estimated 881,000 bikes for about 800,000 residents. So I'm sure if you go up to some of these websites selling used products, I'm sure all you see is bikes for sale, bikes for
Wow.
rent. But there's a
That's
lot of bikes there. Chanel, do you know how to ride a bike? I'm sorry to putting you on the spot, but
No, it's okay. No, I've ridden a bike growing up, but riding a bike in Amsterdam, however, is a different story. And I can't wait to talk about it more as we go in depth in the show. So I'm gonna save that story for later. But yes, let's go on to our second question. Mr. Tech, what is our next question? Okay, I'll read this one. Amsterdam's canal system is larger than Venice. Okay, let's go look through the comments real quick. See who is participating on what they say true or false. Henry, this gives you more time to brainstorm because I also need to think about it. Uh, True
Sorry, what
or
was the question
false?
again? It was canals are what?
I believe larger than Venice.
Oh, the canal cities.
Yes, the system is larger than Venice.
Yeah. Uh, I want to say yes, because all I saw in Amsterdam was just nonstop canals, and I rode on the boat in one of them. It was a long ride. There's a lot of canals there. Um, I've never been to Venice though, so I can't say for sure. Only in
So
videos.
you'll say it's true then.
I would say it's true. What are our
Okay.
comments saying?
Unfortunately, they disagree with you. So I'm seeing Mario Calvello and John Tequila are saying false for that question. Let's go ask Jules then. What's your opinion? True or false? Whose canal system are larger, Amsterdam's or Venice?
Me personally, I've never been to Venice myself, but I also doubt my question actually. I'm I'm actually doubting myself at this moment of time, but I think I would go true.
Okay, that's a fair
I would
answer.
go
Support.
true.
Yes, I got support. So now I want to see what the answer is. Let's see.
Okay, so our loyal commenters are saying false. However, our guests and hosts are saying true. So let's ask Mr. Tech, what is the answer? It's true. Wow. Okay, 1 point to the INC radio hosts. And for our listeners and viewers, it's okay. We have more questions. So, Mr. Tech, what is the next question, please? Henry, would you like to read this one?
All canals in Amsterdam were originally natural rivers. So that's a lot of rivers, right? I mean, walking through the city and taking the ride, that's a lot of rivers. So I'm thinking of World War history, and I'm thinking of the things that have happened. That's a lot of bricks to lay up to make all these canals. Uh, But then again, I mean, Amsterdam, Rotterdam, all of those cities, they're just, uh, they were heavily repaired during the war. So I want to say that is true. But when you take tests in school, they can't all be in the same line. So you want to go move to the right and say false. So that's what I'm thinking. I think it's false just because of the diversity of answers. What is our chat saying, Chanel?
Let me see. I am seeing from Annalyn again. False, but in parentheses, maybe. Hashtag Berlin. So that's really funny. Olaf also says false. Hashtag Bon. And Mario Calvello says true.
So, Jules, let's see. If you, what do you think? Whether you know or you have a guess.
Like again, like how you take exams, how you take tests. There's always a right amount of 50-50 answer between the two. But I would still stick to true. I would still stick to true. That would be my opinion for sure.
I see they've gone very analytical with their answer. But anyway, that's why we are so happy to have Mr. Tech here. So, Mr. Tech, what is the answer? False. It's false. Most were man-made for expansion, trade, and defense. So good try, both of you. And then let's go to our next one because we do have a few more. What is our next question, Mr. Tech? The city name comes from a dam on the Amstel River. True or false? Honestly, to me, if I were to give my opinion, it seems too easy to say true, too simple. So I want to say false.
Uh,
Henry?
ah, Yeah, that seems too simple. Maybe they saw a hamster or I don't know, hamster, and then I don't know. Maybe it was their favorite. I don't know. Amsterdam. That does seem too simple, and I want to say false. Again, I think when you take a test, you don't want to go back to the left side. You want to stay on the right side. Uh, I want to say false. Annalyn Lumen says true. Kuya John says true. Olaf says true. Mario Cavello says true. And maybe I'm just trying to be different today. But Jules, what do you think?
I haven't been answering false at this moment of time, haven't I? But um, what I think it is, yes, again, you're right, Chanel and Henry, you are right. The question is too easy. When you think of it, you can connect the dots right away. You can just make up your own word with those two different words right away. But I would still stick to true.
Yeah, Daisy agrees with you to say true. So let's find out what the answer is. Kuya Tech, is it true or false? Da, 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 da. True. Okay.
Wow.
Made it more complicated than it has to be. I overthought that. So
I'm very happy that it's true. I'm glad it's simple because, life isn't so simple, but I'm glad that this answer was simple. All right, I'm excited. This is our last question for the icebreaker. Mr. Tech, what is our final icebreaker question? Um, is it your turn to read, Henry, or is it my turn?
uh I'll read the narrowest. I'll ask you after. The narrowest house is about 1 meter wide. So just imagine yourself living in a house that's only 1 meter wide. Uh, so as an American, that is about 3.1 feet, I believe. So 3 feet and maybe 1.2 inches. That's the size of 1 yard on a football field, or that's American football for our European
Shorter
friends.
than me if you're bad at math.
Yes. So looking at around like the different boxes I have that oh yeah, that's a small house. How do you turn around the kitchen? Turn around it's the closet. Turn around it's the sink. Turn around. Well, wow. So Shana, what do you think? Is that true? False.
Um, you know, just to be fun, I'm going to say true because I would like to have a tour of that building.
So I did go to one of the tourist spots there. It's like in well, actually no, it's not in Amsterdam. It's in Rotterdam. So I have to take that thought. It's like a yellow cubic house thing in Rotterdam that I went to before. But in Amsterdam, I know Japan has small houses, minimalist culture, but I don't think Amsterdam is like. What do you think, Jules?
I think when you look at the houses, if you go around Amsterdam, when you look at the houses, you will see it from afar that is small. That is true. You can see it from afar, the tall buildings and everything. It's small. When you look, it's like it's shrinking. It's like what you buy somewhere and stick it to your refrigerator, and then it's just really small. But when you enter inside, sometimes you underestimate it. So me, I would, if I get to answer now, I would go for false, just to be fun with it as well, like Chanel, just to explore everything here. I'm also still exploring here, so yes, I would go to false. But yeah, it's fun in a way that when you enter the house, you see everything right away. It's like you have your own CCTV in your own eyes, and then you just like look around, you see everything. You just enter one step and everything is there.
Well, and also it's funny when you ask these kinds of questions. True or false? There's a house that's 1 meter wide. You start to imagine there's a whole town of 1 meter wide houses when it's really just one house that's 1 meter wide. Maybe there was like argument. I'm gonna make my own house, and they made a 1 meter house as a solution. Just one house. So I think it's true. Maybe it's just one house there that's just kind of like here's the smallest house in Amsterdam. As you go through a tour, so Kuya Tech, let's find out what the answer is to our last question. Is it true that there's a 1 meter house there? What is the answer? true. The famous house at Single Seven is just over 1 meter wide at the front. Okay, so it's just the as you take off your shoes and you take off your coat, and you probably you have a much grander entrance to a bigger house. As you know, is that how when you got home, Chanel? You came home to your new home is 1 meter wide house. How would you feel to enter a 1 meter wide house?
I would walk out right away. I'm gonna go get some fresh air immediately. There's a lot more space outside.
Okay, so I didn't realize we actually took a lot of time on our icebreaker. So let's get straight into our topic. Today we are talking about Amsterdam, as we've already seen in our icebreaker, from canals to contemporary life. And I believe Kuya Tech has some photos to share as to give a little visual of some of the different places in Amsterdam. So Kuya Tech, when you get the chance, if you can please display some of our photos. One of the nicer windmills. I've seen this in Amsterdam. Uh, Netherlands in general is known for its classic windmills and how they used. This used to be like advanced technology back in the days for the Netherlands. So it's funny that when you go to these tours and you see someone hop on a wheel and get these spinning, that was considered like our tablets of today and our smartphones for today. That was like, wow, what is this technology? But this is actually one of their staple technological advancements back in the day. And I believe we have some more photos to show. We have some of the canals there that the water pushes through. We can see that windmill in the background. There are windmill farms that pretty much provide the passage of water power, if you want to call it that. Um, and we have another modern image of a canal in our next image, I believe. Yes. Oh, I know where this is. Chanel, have you been here?
I have not, and that already just reminded me that I definitely need to go back and sightsee some more. Because where is that? Tell me more.
Okay, I know where it is, but if Jules, if you can describe where this is, if you might have a better description than I have.
I've been here long enough. I've never been in that place, to be honest.
Okay, no, it's totally fine. I don't. These pictures, there are two or three different popular tourist destinations that have these windmill farms. I believe this is in Kinderjik. It's somewhat further away from Amsterdam, maybe like an hour outside of Amsterdam, where there are rows and rows of windmills where tourists often come here. They have nice vendors with cheese and what is that waffle? The waffle, caramel waffle. You know what I'm talking about, Jules. That they sell outside, very fresh. They make it very fresh for you on the spot. But yeah, these windmill farms are very uh, prominent in terms of tourist spots. And I think we have um, food as our next image, if I'm not mistaken, Kuyatek. If we can show the next picture. Oh, the canals. All right, Jules, I'll let you describe these canals. What can you say about this? What makes Amsterdam so famous in these canals, such as this?
Canals has always been beautiful. It has always been a beautiful sight in the Netherlands. It not just in Amsterdam, in Rotterdam, in The Hague, whatever it is. Canals has always been a big part of the Netherlands itself. Well, Amsterdam canals are has always been iconic. They're such a natural blend of history and the atmosphere. Back all the way centuries ago, they still shape the rhythm of the city today. And the narrow houses, as you can see from the picture itself, and the bridges, the water, it all creates this calm type of distinctive charm that you really don't find it anywhere else. It's really quite unique if you see the Amsterdam canals itself.
Actually, Jules, I remember earlier you mentioned that you moved to the Netherlands. So we want to know a little more background on you. Like, where did you move from, and how long were you living in Europe, I guess?
Yes, I moved from the Philippines. I was born and raised in the Philippines. and I'm pure Filipino. I'm not anything half. I am. I've been here. I arrived in not in Amsterdam. I arrived in the Netherlands for last 2020, year 2020, and ever since then we lived here for 5 years. Of course, in between you visit Philippines now and then, but ever since then we stayed here, me and my family, and from then on we learned a lot of the Netherlands culture and the language and the cities, the beautiful cities and the historic parts of it.
Yeah, and it sounds like you've been to Amsterdam like quite often. So now, as someone who's moved to the Netherlands, I want to ask you, what was your first impression, as pretty much someone new to the country?
uh my first impression when I arrived here, it was like, whoa. You would see how pretty everything are. It's totally different from where you were, where you have been, where you grow up in, and from aside from the weather itself, of course. It's totally, if you're in the Philippines, it's a tropical weather. If you're here, it's totally different. The Netherlands itself is also known from, random types of weathers in one day. So it has always been there. So my first impression, it was really beautiful. I arrived here, I my mind was at peace.
That's so good to hear. And actually, I know Kuya Henry has been to Amsterdam a couple of times. So for me, my first time in Amsterdam, I thought it was amazingly beautiful as well. I love seeing the canals and growing up on an island, I'm so used to seeing water everywhere. And then moving to a different part of the States, Las Vegas specifically, where it's a desert, there's no water. It was so jarring. So when I visited Amsterdam and seeing all the canals, it was a different type of beauty, seeing how water is incorporated in part of the city, and I thought that was so amazing. And on top of that, the bikes, I think that's something we need to talk about. That really shaped my first impression of Amsterdam specifically because um, I thought I knew how to ride a bike until I went to Amsterdam, and I actually fell off my bike like twice. And what I really appreciate is how well people have inserted such a healthy lifestyle. Like there's not hardly any cars. It's mostly bike riders and it's just in their everyday lifestyle. And I love that. It's so unique and so different. I think that we need to apply that everywhere else, especially, we need to go outside more. We need to take walks and exercise. I mean, how were you riding? Have you ridden bikes when you were in Amsterdam? I'm gonna ask for Jules and Henry. Have you guys experienced that? Because for me, it was intense. It was intense. If you don't know how, you're gonna learn fast.
Yes, yes, I rode a bicycle. Actually, you can get some bicycles there as well. Yes, it is quite of a rigid ride if you're in the city of Amsterdam. If you go there, it's yes, you can learn how to ride a bike. But sometimes if you ride a bike itself in the city, it's quite, you gotta be careful a little bit because you have to look left and right, front and back, because not all bicycles have mirrors on the side. So,
Yeah, and I was actually intimidated because although they had bike lanes, designated bike lanes that are big, um, it was quite crowded, and I felt so bad that like when it got crowded and I wasn't riding my bike fast enough, I was holding up a line. So I was just like, okay, just go past me, just go past me. Like it was so embarrassing for me. How about you, Henry, when you went with your family to Amsterdam? Were you able to experience the bike riding life?
No, and I'm going to pivot this into the boat scene. So when you ride a bike uh and you look at a beautiful place like Amsterdam, you have to focus on your bike. You're not trying to bang anyone or run anyone over, uh, but you'll get distracted, right? So I give anyone props who's ridden a bike through Amsterdam to enjoy the scenery, looking around with their handlebars up, and taking pictures, or if they have like one of those real time cams on their forehead, they can get a nice visual documentation of it. So on the boats in the canals, I think Brother Scott made a nice comment about that. That without the, I don't know how to pronounce it, DIJKS, the dikes, I'm guessing, and windmills, the Netherlands would be 70% washed away. Hashtag Amsterdam. And so even with the canals, right? It's Netherlands is surrounded by water, and if there's high tide, low tide, or any just type of storm uh, surge, the water levels will rise up. So the canals do serve a purpose, not only for beauty and tourist boat riding, but for their survival and for their sustenance to be able to live, and more so for their agriculture. And it's such a nice balance of buildings and farmlands and history and modernism, that when you look around from one part of Amsterdam to see the greenery, and then you turn to the left, you see 3 meter or 1 meter wide buildings or 3 meter wide buildings all pushed together. It's a beautiful place. And so it's managed to preserve its history, but still a modern city. Would you agree with that, Jules? Is that it still has history behind it when you look at it, but it still looks so today and modern? What's your reaction to that? My little comment there.
Yes, definitely. If you look at the houses, if you look at the canals, if if you're the type that you would go deeper from what you see, then you will definitely learn something behind it. So of course, what I can say is that Amsterdam managed to preserve its history till today at this present because it balances the old and the new by being really intentional. The city protects its historical buildings and the canals itself, but it also invests in innovation, for example, sustainability, and also smart infrastructures. So you get the place that honors its past, but still lives fresh up until today, forward thinking and completely live in.
Yeah, so it's the World War history, Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and all the nearby cities. They've gone through a lot of, if you want to say, it evolved through the just wartime in general. And uh, Rotterdam, I think, is 2 hours away, if I'm not mistaken. And and I like Rotterdam a lot, so I'm kind of put it in here as well. But it's it has a really different flavor, Rotterdam and Amsterdam. I like Amsterdam to the effect of this feels like Netherlands. Not saying Rotterdam doesn't feel like Netherlands, but it's just so modern that I feel more historical significance and that vibe in Amsterdam. Just looking at the houses, looking at the canals, seeing all the bike riding, how everything is kind of contoured to fit like a puzzle piece that makes a perfect picture. It's just a beautiful place to be in. Um, what about the stroopwafel? Let's kind of pivot into food. What can you say about the stroopwafel and kind of educate our viewers what the stroopwafel is?
Well, stroopwafel, it's always been a really, really tasty food that you can eat in the Netherlands. If you're the type of person that has a sweet tooth, this is definitely for you. It's really thin like waffles, and it has like caramel in the inside, and then you top it up again with the really, really thin waffles. But if you stretch it out, it's really, really good. And it's also good if you eat it still a bit warm, and you can definitely taste just the Netherlands itself. Actually, for me, in my first time eating a stroopwafel, it has been really good. And then, like what you say in Dutch, het is lekker.
Well, actually, I had the pleasure of trying a stroopwafel. I don't know how to say it the way you did, but you know what I mean. Um, I think on the flight, actually, they were giving those out on the flight. But I know that that can't even compare to a proper one. So I'm very excited. You had me at Sweet Tooth. Um, Jules, is there any other iconic foods, not just in Amsterdam, but in the Netherlands that we should definitely try out?
It's not just all about the sweet stuff that you eat, but it's also has been famous to eat really, really fresh French fries, what we called friet. It has been really fresh. It has been really known by it. Netherlands is also quite famous, especially Amsterdam. There's a lot of places where you can get friet anywhere you go or to eat inside itself. It has been really famous. It has been really good, and you can go with really, really good mayonnaise with it as well.
Ah, see, that's an interesting take because usually when you hear like French fries, you go to Paris. Jokingly, I'm just joking, but um, it's interesting that you say frites for the Netherlands area and you guys eat it with mayo, whereas in America it's more common to eat it with ketchup. Is there another way to eat frites? Is it just mayo? Is there other specific seasonings you'd recommend?
Some people suggest it with a mayo on top, but also like crispy onions. If I say it correctly, some people would like to prefer to eat it with mustard or a mix of a mayonnaise and quite of a bit of a mustard on the side itself. And it has been, there's a lot of sauces in the Netherlands, so you can try with the friet. You have what we call knoflook. It's a garlic sauce. We have mustard, and we have the famous mayonnaise, and of course the ketchup. But out from, if you remove the ketchup, the rest from the sauces has always been used a lot.
And what would you say is your favorite dish? It could be a dessert, or maybe a drink. Your favorite meal from the Netherlands.
It's really quite a common thing if you go somewhere in the Netherlands. It's what we call the frikandel broodje. It's if you say it in a different way, so sausage broodje is a sausage bread. So it's a sausage inside a bread, and it's really it's cooked well, and then there's always this barbecue sauce inside, and when you eat it really fresh, it's really good. And I think that's really my favorite food in the Netherlands.
Hmm. Again, Europe really loves its meat and bread. So again, another new thing I'm willing to try. Henry, were you able to try that when you were there?
I tried. I was distracted by the American what do you call that when you they put a lot of things in the bag and they boil it. It's more Cajun, uh full of crab legs and shrimp and sausage and yeah, Jules knows what I'm talking about. Um there was really a lot of food that I'm always just drawn back to that. The what do you call it? Cajun steamed seafood with all things French and good. Um, but looking at comments right now, really quick. There's Irene saying that she likes the I don't know how to say it properly, the fricandel onions and mayonnaise. Okay, I probably ate that. Yeah, I probably did. That um, there was really good food there. I mean, we ate a lot. There's a again, I'm going back to Rotterdam. There's like a big building with all these food court vendors inside. This nice hut-looking building, and we just kind of spent half the day or almost all day in there trying all the food. So from the fresh stroop waffles, and look at the Americans say stroop waffle. From all the fresh stroop waffle and the hummus fries. But like Scott Augustine says, Scott says stroop waffles are better when warm and freshly made. And so we do have those store ones that are nicely packaged, but they're not freshly made. So when we go to the windmills and they're freshly making it, man, it's like when you go to these other German places outside the markets and they have the fresh crepes with the chocolate and banana. If I had to choose, I would choose the stroopwafel over any crepe any day. Uh, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the caramel flavoring that I like. I like the fresh caramel. Uh, so if that's again, it's all preference. So there's no right or wrong answer. But I'm just kind of also looking through the comments, seeing what anyone else had to say about the some of the food. I know some of our brethren, our viewers, were mentioning that they ate some of the food here. Um, at the same time, we do have more pictures to show. Kuya Tech, if there are any other pictures that we have not yet shown, if you can please show some of the beautiful scenery. Uh, can you see what animal that is, Jules? What is that a cow? Is there a lot of farmland fresh meat there that Amsterdam
Fresh
has?
meat. What if they're friends?
They could be friends,
Oh,
but
I guess Jules can answer for us. It just looks really cute and fluffy right now. So
It's at first looking at the picture, I thought it was a sheep. But in the Netherlands, we also have fluffy cows. We also have fluffy cows, and they're really adorable. Actually, you also have places that you can explore into, that you can just bump into them and then just drive through, maybe stop by, and then they're really also quite approachable. They're really just adorable. Those are fluffy cows, and they have been really the most cutest thing you could ever see here.
okay. Kuya Tech, if you can show the other remaining pictures that we have, we can just go through some of the pictures really quick. Those are the public transportation in there with the uh this place really looks familiar. I think I've walked here, but as you can see, it does kind of get crowded on the side. Um, and if we can scroll through the next picture really quick, Akuya Tech. Again, the canals. We cannot get enough of the canals. That boat ride that we went through was about an hour long. But as you pass through this, you don't get tired of it. It's just really amazing as you pass under the bridges of people. They're also being friendly. They wave hi to you as you pass under the bridges, and you continue to see these buildings. That's what Amsterdam is. Just looking at this, it's a simple picture. It really is a simple picture. But when you like this takes me back. It makes me want to go back. This we were just walking through this for hours and hours, riding boats for a good hour. And Amsterdam it may be a crowded place, and not everyone likes crowds, but it's still as you go through the city, whether you're on a bike, whether you're on a boat, whether you're walking through the city, Amsterdam is a nice representation of the Netherlands and all of its historical preservation, but still keeping a nice modern touch. So thanks to Jules for joining us on our panel today, for helping us to get a nice, better glimpse of Amsterdam, and hopefully that all of who have tuned in will have be inspired to pay a visit. There is a local congregation there in Amsterdam as well. It is a very nice locale. We have been there. But what do we have next on our program today, Chanel?
German is fun and it's so amazing because we get to learn new languages. Despite the topic today being about Amsterdam, the Netherlands, maybe next time we can have Dutch is fun. Maybe hosted by Jules. We'll see. But right now, we'll be watching German is Fun with Miss Malou. So stay tuned and enjoy.
German is fun. Deutsch macht Spaß. Hello everyone. Hallo zusammen. Welcome to German is fun. Willkommen zu Deutsch macht Spaß. My name is Malou Francisco, bringing you a fun session of basic German. Our lesson for today, visiting museums. In German, auf Deutsch, Museumsbesuch. When someone is traveling, one of the most common activities is to visit at least one museum to find out more about the history, the culture of a certain place, or simply appreciate art. We'll be learning some German words and expressions related to visiting museums or Museumsbesuch. German is fun. Deutsch macht Spaß. Museum in German, Museum. Museum. A museum, ein Museum. The museum, das Museum. Plural museums, Museen. Again, Museen. There are different kinds of museums. Let's name 3 of them. Art museum, in German, Kunstmuseum. Kunstmuseum. Let's say it syllable by syllable. Kunstmuseum. One more time. Kunstmuseum. Art museums, Kunstmuseen. Kunstmuseen. History museum, Geschichtsmuseum. One more time. Geschichtsmuseum. Let's say it syllable by syllable. Geschichtsmuseum. Geschichtsmuseum. History museums, Geschichtsmuseen. Geschichtsmuseen. Open air museum, Freilichtmuseum. Freilichtmuseum. Let's say it syllable by syllable. Freilichtmuseum. Freilichtmuseum. Open air museums, Freilichtmuseen. Freilichtmuseen. Now let's have a review of some of the German words related to museums that we have learned so far. Museum, museum. Museums, Museen. Art museum, Kunstmuseum. Art museums, Kunstmuseen. History museum, Geschichtsmuseum. History museums, Geschichtsmuseen. And finally, open air museum, Freilichtmuseum. Freilichtmuseum, open air museums, Freilichtmuseen. German is fun. Deutsch macht Spaß. This has been today's episode of German is Fun, Deutsch macht Spaß. I'm Malou Francisco saying thank you for joining me. Danke, dass ihr dabei wart. Danke fürs Zuschauen. Till next time. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss. German is fun. Deutsch macht Spaß.
Welcome back to Central Europe Connections, and we hope all of you have learned a lot from Miss Malou. I learned Das Museum, and hopefully next week or in the future, we'll be hearing from Jules on Dutch is Fun. So, joking, but also not joking. But anyway, I believe we have exciting announcements to come up from our most active clusters, right, Henry?
Yes, so this is the time where we get to see from our last week's broadcast who were the top 3 clusters to participate in our chat. So as a reminder to all those who are with us today, don't forget to put hashtag of the locale or cluster that you're from or GWS, such as hashtag Berlin, hashtag Meissen, hashtag Heidelberg. I'm a little biased because that's my locale. Hashtag Frankfurt or hashtag Zurich. All of the above. If that's where you're from, put a hashtag and we will tally that up and to see who is the most active cluster. So at this time, we are going to see from our last week's broadcast who are the top 3 most active clusters. Go ahead and show us a Kuya Tech, please.
Third place, Netherlands cluster. Second place, Frankfurt cluster. First place, Berlin cluster.
Congratulations to our top three clusters. And again, always show your participation by adding hashtag of your locale or cluster in our chat. Now, in addition to our top three clusters, we also want to show who were our top three individuals who participated in our chat from last week. So, number three, I believe this is at Christian Reynoso. So, Christian, congratulations. You were in the top three, as well as Scott Augustine, who's number two. And always number one, we have Brother Mario Calvello as a top chatter for our chat. So, congratulations to our top three individual contributors. And now we're coming to the close of our show. And so, to speak on behalf of the third place Netherlands cluster, I'll let Jules give her acceptance speech, as well as a shout out to anyone you would like to, such as family and friends near and far. Who would you like to shout out, Jules?
I would like to shout out to my parents who are watching, to my mom and to my dad. And I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed everything. I hope you learned something from Amsterdam. To everyone who's watching, I hope you learned something. And I hope I encourage you to come in Amsterdam itself, to enjoy the scenery, to enjoy the foods, to enjoy everything, and just visit here.
And thank you to Jules for taking time to be in our program today. And Chanel for your award acceptance speech for Frankfurt for being second place, as well as your shout outs.
Just shout out to all of our listeners and viewers who have been loyal and amazing and participating in all of our questions and the topics. It's always a joy to be part of the show. And quick shout out to Ka Christian, our resident minister, as well as Kaina and family. Thank you po, for your support. Maybe next week we'll get number one.
And so, always happy to see Berlin cluster. So my shout out, well, first let me shout out to my wife and my children who are not more than a few feet away from me across this wall, always supporting our INCRadio Central Europe broadcast, and even Faith and Melody. I'm gonna do a little plug for Faith and Melody every Sunday at 12 o'clock midnight Philippines time, or in our time it's 5 o'clock Central European Standard Time in the afternoon. So if you are free, please join us for Faith and Melody in the afternoon. As we come to a close on our show, thank you to everyone for always supporting Central Europe Connections. I will first read the riddle for our show for next week. Golden coins of shredded gold, fried crisp to hold. Once breakfast friend in alpine cold, what humble potato becomes this hearty foe? So that is a hint for our next, I believe, Culture Bites episode for next week on Central Europe Connections. Thank you to all of our viewers for tuning with us today in Central Europe Connections. Thank you for watching INCRadio Central Europe. Let's stay connected, inspired. See you next week, same time, same place. Take care, everyone. Have a great week ahead.